Hello. Thank you very much. Well, now we know why the Yakuzas in Japan have so many tattoos, right, Nico? Well, my name is Jürgen Cujé. To start with the things here about the business angel networks, I would start rather with the background why we have done that. As she already mentioned, I'm a former banker. So some 10 years ago, I changed the frontiers. So I started with my consulting business, and I started with the consulting of capital optimization, capital cost optimization, and things like that. And this is important for every startup as well, and also for other companies, for every company, because it's talking about the planning. The planning means if you have an idea, it's not yet enough. You should have also a plan how this idea can be developed. And to be able to develop an idea, you need capital. And the question always is, which kind of capital? And we have three different sources or three different kinds of capital. The one that we are talking about here all day long is equity. Then we have some other capital, which is mezzanine, which is between equity, and the third kind of capital, which is simple credit. So credit is coming normally from banks or for fating companies or whatever. Mezzanine is coming from business angels as well. And equity, of course, is coming from business angel and other sources that we heard already today. So in 2005, I saw that there is a big demand in the small and medium companies in Germany that they need more equity. And they said, well, if you are advising us that we have to increase our capital, and you have to see that also in the combination of this famous rating, which banks need for their Basel II and today or in future Basel III issues, then you need a good rating to be accepted by the financing industry. And if you don't have a good rating, you will not get money. So the best thing for every entrepreneur is to have a good rating. How to get a good rating? Well, there are certain factors which are combined there, but a very important thing always is that your capital structure is in a good shape. And this capital structure, especially when you are starting with a business, has to stand for a longer time. So this is not something you are talking about for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years perhaps, but you have to convince investors that your plan is also that good that you can survive for 5 years or more. So if you start with an established company and the company says, well, I want to grow, then you have to find out if the company can grow, if the company has enough money for that. And if the company does not have money for that, then growth is not possible. And these things were influencing, of course, all the companies that we have consulted and advised in this long time. And then always at the end there was something where the company said, well, if you say we need more money, then please go ahead and find us some. So we said, okay, let's try to do that. And that's why, we founded Business Angel Network Europe, because we said, okay, where can we get the money from for small and, well, medium enterprises? Business Angel Network Europe was founded in 2005. 2005 was in the middle of two crisis periods. The first crisis went on 2003 about, and the next crisis we can still remember very good came after that. We built up contact to more than 100 members, including headhunters, outplacement agents, interim management providers, banks, etc. This might be new for you, because you heard today that the investors behind the, let's say, normal business angel networks are most of the time business angels. And now you see here headhunters, outplacement managers, outplacement agents, and so on. Why we have done that is that we have a specialization of so-called working business angels. What is a working business angels? Working business angels are people which lose their job in the middle of their 40s, for instance. In IT or other industries, you are too old then. So you are too expensive, cannot be paid, you have other ideas and so on. So normally, or most of the time, the companies get rid of you. You get a golden handshake, and then you ask yourself, well, what shall I do now? Playing golf or whatever? And we have found out that these people are perfect business angels. Why? They have the money from the golden handshake, they have a lot of experience, and they find, or they want to find a new, well, profession, a new job, something like that, and that on an entrepreneurial basis. And this is, I think, very important, and this is also conform with that what we heard already today. And then we said, okay, now, just some weeks ago, we founded a new thing, Bain Swarm Investments. And I want to tell you about things, about these swarm investments a little bit more today, because this is, of course, I would imagine, also a method that you can use here in Serbia very well. Bain says, Business Angel Network Europe. Is it really European? Yes, but there are, of course, always good sides and negative sides on that. We get a lot of questions from all over Europe. And we try to make also something with other business angel networks in whole Europe. For instance, well, the projects that are coming on your desk as a network are not always ITC or something like that. We also have very, very normal old economy proposals there. And one proposal which was interesting because the revenue was so fantastic coming out there, German sausages for the Spanish market. Aha. So you may say, well, this is absolutely ridiculous, you know. Carrying oils to Athens is perhaps just the same. But they had a wonderful idea, and the margins within sausages were extremely high. So we tried to cooperate then with 2 or 3 Spanish networks, and it didn't work. Could not find anybody in Spain or in Germany who was interested in putting money in this venture. Okay, so that was a flop. We got a lot of questions from abroad, not from Serbia right now, but from Bulgaria. Can you finance or can you find investors for financing a solar photovoltaic farm in Bulgaria, 2 megawatt? We were absolutely not able up to now to find investors who want to invest money in Bulgaria. Other things came from Romania, and these 2 states are in the European Union. Yeah? And this is amazing. People are not willing to go there to invest there, at least not from our network. So this was very, well, astonishing in the one or the other way. And when we wanted to find out, well, I just remember then perhaps in my old banker times. In my old banker times, I had the pleasure to reschedule the Latin American crisis in the early 80s. The rescheduling, which is perhaps also ideal for today's crises that we face with the countries like Greece and so on, was in fact always the problem that the hard currency in the countries were not available. We had escudos, we had cruzados, cruzeiros, and so on in Brazil, for instance. But there was the big problem, how to get money out of that country. And so if you have a country which has no hard currency, a euro, a dollar, or whatever, and you have perhaps a very soft currency, then you will have problems to get hard currency out of the country. So if you are an investor and you invest dollars or euros or at that time Deutschmarks into a country which has a soft currency, you might have also the risk that you don't get your money back. So it was not only a matter of the risk out of the venture of the company where the money went in, but also a political risk. And this political risk is, of course, something you have to keep in mind when you see these things. That's always also a problem. So I think the reluctance of the people to go from Germany with their money into other countries is one of the reasons that they don't believe in the administration. Remember Greece. They don't have registers for their land and so on. So this is, of course, something where the people react very reluctant. And this is hampering, of course, a pan-European business angel network, and comes to the point that at the end we have to concentrate on the legal things that we have in the very country. So for us, it is important when we ask German investors that we have a German company. So we are still European. One of our big projects right now is the green recycling of ships, which we are building up in Scotland for a German entrepreneur. And we already have investors from the US behind that who are willing to invest $1 million. So this is also viable. Another case is a social network for regatta sailors, where we have a Belgian client, but we will say that, okay, we make a German company out of that, so that the German investors can invest in a German company. I think this is also important when you are talking about Serbian risk here. This has to be organized and structured in that way. So what else is very important is that the business plan is in good shape. Especially entrepreneurs think, well, I have an idea, then I get money in, fantastic. The first thing is that I pay out of that money to myself a salary of 10,000 euros a month. I buy a big car and so on. Investors don't like that. So in many cases, the people think that this is a good business plan, but we have to check it, of course, because we also have some kind of, well, our task is also to protect the investors a little bit from some foolish ideas. So the current market situation and why we founded this new idea is, in fall 2011, the investments in the German private equity sector plummeted down as was never seen in one quarter of a year since the start of statistics in 2003. We are in a very ugly situation. Bund, you know what it is, you heard it already today, reported for the first quarter of this year a promising outlook on the investment appetite of German BAs. Wonderful. German business angels are prepared to invest. We all like to hear that. But the average investment amount was 22,000 euro. Last year it was 49,000 euro. Big amount. Can you imagine to make a startup out of that money? And then compare it with the demand. Here you see in absolute figures and in percent the demand of the several startups coming in to Band and asking to spread their one-pager all over the networks that we have in Germany. The biggest amount, or the biggest demand here, as we see, is between 200,000 and 500,000. From January to October, we received about 200 one-pagers from Band, just from Band. Entrepreneurs go to Band, that's the normal way, I would say, and say, okay, send that around to your business angel networks. And as we are a member of this network, we also receive that. This is already pre-selected. You cannot imagine what kind of things we get on our desk sometimes. The opening of a belly dance studio. People want to have that financed. This is something which is not that sexy, well, sexy perhaps, but not that sexy that investors are coming up. When we add the first round that these 201 pages want to receive, we come to 78 million euro. Not too bad. If we take the next round for the second year and the third year, to that amount come again 157 million euro. Any idea how to cover this demand with the preparedness of business angel to invest 22,000 or something like that? That's a big problem or not? What kind of capital sources do we have? First step, we heard it several times, family, fools and friends. The second step is our business angels. And by the way, Bain is not investing, we are a platform. Then venture capital, fundraising becomes very difficult, currently more on the exit side. And private equity, some already stopped M&A deals. In Cujé Consult we make also M&A. And we have now had about half a year negotiations with a private equity firm regarding the buyout of an IT company. They said to me, well, the board stopped all M&A transactions right now, so I can start from scratch and find a new one. It's not easy that time. Fundraising is extremely difficult. We had some venues now in Germany where I had the chance to talk to several people I know very well from the private equity and venture capital industry, and they say, well, we don't do anything right now. And we only take established companies. And this is also something from my experience with Mountain. I think I sent them 6 or 7 inquiries, and they are very, very selective. So it's not that easy. Then, recommendation. We had a German equity forum in November right now. And people from KfW and so on, from the banks and also from the government and other people said, we have a very gloomy economical outlook that leads to the fact that the preparedness of investments is going down. And then they said, we recommend you go to business angels and family offices. Good idea. Now remember the business angel's average investment, 22,000. And then we said, okay, we have to find a solution here. We want to rise everybody to the heaven of business angels. We have 5,000 business angels in Germany, and we have seen how many there are in Finland or in the Netherlands and so on and so on. Okay, we have 5,000. Is that enough? 5,000 times 22,000 euro? For that demand that we can see here? No. Business angels are not known to the common people, so we have to make that public. Go to the street, go to some SME, small medium enterprise, and ask them, do you know what a business angel is? What? Never heard about that. So we are prepared here because we know the background, and you all have read that and so on. So we are all already familiar with this kind of investment, or let's say asset class. It is an asset class. So what we have from BAN's statistics is that business angels normally invest 100,000 per project. Reality tells us a different truth. And we establish a new asset class, which is not that new, but we sell it as new. We give access to small investment amounts starting with 500 euro. And we mix startups with established projects. When people like established projects, okay, they can get it. Small and medium enterprises, why not? Established industry, having a track record. Startups have no track record. And we heard again today, several times, don't put your eggs in one basket. So we want to offer to the people a mixture. We mix high risk with low risk. And then the people can put their eggs in various baskets. How invest people nowadays? You are investors, probably. Everybody, probably. There is a lot of money in the market. Not only pension funds who get money every day and don't know where to invest, perhaps not in bonds of European states or so, perhaps also not in America. So this is wonderful. No risk, no fun. And that's what the people are doing today, and the companies as well, because they are afraid that the banks make a credit crunch. And then you don't get money. So the people are making mountains of cash right now. And cash is king, as we all know. Then we had in the past film and ship funds, which are out because the legal tax things have changed, and that is out for the time being. It was replaced by regenerative energy projects and so on. This is a possibility, okay. Well, put a proper amount into your own home and castle. How much do you invest there? A lot. Huh? It's a big amount. Stock exchange? Ha! Very nice. Some burnt their fingers already. Or gold? Perhaps too late. So think about where to invest. And then often the investment flows into a black box. I was never on the banker's side selling certificates and stuff like that. Lehman Brothers things also to the private people. So I can be glad that I never did that. But, well, high fees. You pay that in funds, life insurances. Do you know where the money goes to? No. And you pay fees without end. The investor has no influence on the asset in which the money flows. So we offer the difference. Interest diversification of investments. High risk, low risk. Risk scattering, very easy, by offering a broad selection of diverse companies from different sectors and many issues, like business angels do. Sectoral, in several regions and so on. Yeah? Exact knowledge on where the capital is invested, because you know very well the target where your money flows. Personal contact to the entrepreneur, no anonymity, but, which is also very important, non-disclosure is very important. And you have it here in your brochure. And then you become a member of a large group of other investors with swarm intelligence. A swarm, well, take a swarm of sardines, for instance, and just look how dolphins or whatever are trying to get one sardine out of that swarm. It's difficult. It works, but it's difficult. So this is some kind of swarm intelligence. A swarm will decide as a group, and this is something which is very different, because you can say, this one is investing, then I do it also. Yeah? And if you have 20, 40, or how many investors you ever can imagine, you can say, okay, they cannot think in a wrong way. There must be something with it. And no fees for the investor. Bank neutral. This is very important. Investment of affordable amounts. A syndication of a very broad basis. And how does it work? Bain SI, which stands for Swarm Investment, serves as a platform only. And we bring together the corporates in contact with the investors. We accompany them, but without recommendation and without responsibility. That has to do something with licenses and so on. Germany is a very administrative country, so we don't want to do and have that. And the first step is the investor reads the announcements, quite similar to that what you have heard today from Mountain. And then they can decide, well, is that something for me or is it not? And then they decide, yes, I will have a look at that. and they get a password, look into a cloud where the business plan and all the other stuff can be read, and then they say, okay, that's all right. Why not? And then the transfer of the capital is done to an escrow account with a good bank, and an escrow account is of a good law firm, how the normal way is. And then, when the swarm is complete, let's imagine, well, we have, in Germany, we have a legal border, let's say that, of 100,000 euro. If we pass this border, you have to have a prospectus, which is also be written then by the law firm. So if we, let's say we are with 80,000 euro, and we have that, then we make an internet conference where all the investors, the whole swarm, can ask the entrepreneur questions and get hopefully good answers on that. And then we make a poll and say, okay, send us an email, and we know exactly how much the people have invested because we know what they have paid in the escrow account. And we say, okay, if we have the majority of 50% of the capital, then we start with it. And this is very good and very helpful for the startup has normally no money. At some degree, the money from the fools and family and friends is out. So, well, they don't have the money to pay 10 or 15,000 for the prospectus. And then we say, okay, dear swarm, would you agree that we take now an order to the law firm to make the prospectus? When they say yes, okay, then we make the prospectus, and then it goes up over the 100,000s. And then we reach also the demand that I have shown you on this slide here, where we go up to 500,000 or whatever. And the interesting thing is, we have many ventures who are coming to us and say, we need 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. And then, when you come with this idea and say, well, can you shrink that? Then all of a sudden, the people say, yeah, well, 600,000 would also do. Why not? So this is also amazing, I would say. Yeah, it works much more than you can see from the beginning. Yeah, and the story behind this is crowdfunding. It's pretty new. Crowdfunding is a financing method mobilizing investors by a public call in the internet. So we are not only based on the internet, but we have also a lot of high net worth individuals. Lawyers, tax people, bankers, whatever. And we know them by name. Crowdfunding is some kind of mirror for microfinance. You know that perhaps from Bangladesh. And that is often made by way of donations, charitable projects, artists, and so on. And the common basis is the large community in the social networks. We will use them as well. Financing can also come as sponsoring or pre-selling funds with receipt of the product after completion, loans, or equity. And the number of followers can vary from 100 to 100,000 or more. Hopefully not, because this is a big workload. Crowdfunding examples, you will not believe it. Mozart and Beethoven financed concerts and new compositions with their fans. The Statue of Liberty in New York was financed by thousands of tiny donations from Americans and French. Perhaps you know the UK band Marillion financed their US tour in '97. Scott Wilson in the US collected $1 million for the creation of a plastic bracelet for the Apple iPod Nano. Never heard about it, right? Trampoline Systems failed to raise capital for a software development, and then they had the chance to get over crowdfunding 250,000 pounds sterling. And last but not least, Barack Obama collected 100 millions by way of crowdfunding, and so on. So obviously this way is working. Crowdfunding is growing fast. If you go into this a little bit deeper in this issue, you find a lot of examples here. So the involvement of the player in the capital markets is still limited. It's not very known there. So probably also for you, this might be absolutely new today. We have some examples here in Europe. In Finland, Venture Bonsai, they have a platform for several international venues. It's working successfully, but we don't know exactly how successful. And we in EBAN also don't want to make disclosures on these things. Then in Switzerland there is one, Investiere CH. They have already 8 successful closings. Then we have very new, also founded this year, Seed Match in Germany. They have closed 3 transactions, also completely overwritten. And then we have a new one, Mashup Financing, which is not yet in the market. So all these things shows that it works. Here you have some screenshots from Seed Match. So you can see here, blue patent, a very nice thing, very successful. Seed level, 200%, which means the demand that they have were 50,000. It's small, but you have to start somewhere. Then, 3 times crowdfunding. Thank you to all first movers. And they are sold out. So they have no projects anymore for the time being, which is a shame, I would say. Then here we have the Swiss guys. They have successfully funded startups here. Nanocean, Shop Alive, and you can see here, if you go to the website of the guys, then you can see what kind of venues they have offered here. A lot of things, very different. So that works. And our approach is, we do not publish much information on the projects. Non-disclosure is very important from our point of view. Access to the information only after NDA. That's the same thing you do here. So I think you're on the right track. And we do not show a barometer. The others show barometers. I think this is something which can be embarrassing. If you think, okay, I'm looking for 80,000, and a fortnight before it is closed, you have perhaps 50,000, then all the world is seeing, well, obviously, it is not accepted that way. It will not be that successful. So it is a blamage at the end, and we don't want to show that to other people then. And we establish a club of investors, syndicate, like you know it from Business Angel normally. And we contact mainly potential investors that we know by name or which are contacted by multiplicators, which is a very important thing. The investor's name is not published, contrary to other things or other networks where the business angel is named. And of course, we take also the social networks. Here we have one example, just to show you how it runs. Easy Golf Guide is an interactive USB stick or DVD or app, probably more an app than the other things. And we have a database of about 1,000 golf courses in the German-speaking region. Every golf club has 500 members, so we come out with 500,000 potential contracts. The golf clubs will receive something which they can put on their blackboard, and they get an incentive, and the investors also get an incentive, namely an Easy Golf Guide. So there we have, of course, let's say some kind of drag into our website, and then the people can say all the other things as well, and say, oh, interesting, there's something else. Why only the golf guide? I give them €1,000 and I take another 1,000 and put it, for instance, in this one here. Christmas trees. Long-established company, more than 2 million sales. Christmas trees and green Christmas articles. Big market, 28 million trees are sold in Germany each year. They are preparing right now a container with Christmas trees for Lebanon. Incredible. Plantation, 8,000 trees per hectare. And then if we make an investment volume for land purchase amounting to 90,000 euro, we can buy 2.5 hectares. If we make a land lease for the same amount, we have more, of course. And then we can offer a mortgage collateral for the land that we buy, and then we pay the investors 10%. Is that good or not? 10% for a collateralized thing? Not too bad. And you know where your trees are growing. You can go there, you can drive there in that region and look, these are all my trees. And after 7 years, I get my money back and also the interest.
The money is growing with the trees.
The money is growing with the trees. And after 7 years, you can decide if you let them for 1 year more growing, because then you have an increase of €5 per tree in 1 year. That's amazing. And if we have the land lease, we pay 14% per annum. 7 years bullet repayment. Incentive, free tree every year. So, the structure is for investment volumes of more than 100,000, we need a prospectus. Best basis for the investments is a German organized GmbH or UG. It can also be a so-called Personengesellschaft, personal, private company, and we can make that as silent partnership or subordinated loan, and in general with the standard documentation. It is absolutely necessary that you have a law firm behind that, which is, well, used to do these things, to write prospectus and so on, because you need then also the authorization of the authorities in Germany. Yeah, and that is it, more or less. And now coming to Serbia. I found a very nice article in the Aircraft writing about the Serbian diaspora. I would say this here is not only very ideal for you here locally, nationally, but if you include in this method also all your people in the diaspora, and well, I don't need to tell you how many Serbians or let's say the whole region, people from the whole region are living in Germany, I can imagine that they would be happy to perhaps invest in some ideas here in Serbia, because they know the legal structure that you have here, and it is very important that you use the legal structure of the nation where you invest. And this is also something where I doubt that any German would say, oh, very nice, Serbia, yes, why not? No, they don't know the legal structure. They don't know, is it really reliable? What about the government? And so on and so on. You know it better than I do. Yeah? So this is perhaps a better way to attract capital, money here in your country. And perhaps this is a way to start with. It's some different, it's new, but we thought it is worthwhile to do, and that's why we started. Thank you. Questions?
What do you mean right now? Is it 2011 or since 2008? When you were talking about the companies and you were talking about the German sector, private equity,
yeah, well, we
you
started
have mentioned that companies have said, business angel networks or something, that we do not do anything right now regarding mergers and acquisitions and the whole thing. And well, I was just wondering, what is right now? Do you mean starting from 2011 and with the whole debt crisis, or starting from 2008?
We don't know where the crisis is going to, and we don't know how deep the crisis will be. Just nowadays, in Germany, I must say, we don't feel anything of the crisis. So when I look into the TV in the evening, or I read newspapers and so on, I think, well, what are they talking about? it is not the first crisis that we see. And we have an up and down all the time. And for a long, long time, we have seen that there are ups and downs. So, well, we simply have to see how the investment appetite will be. Just right now, after that, what I heard on the equity show in Frankfurt, the appetite is obviously very limited right now, which should not say that there is no money. But the people are, of course, thinking very thoroughly where they want to put the money in. So if you see the reaction of the market that they are not even prepared to buy German bonds, government bonds, that's crazy or not. So the people that we are accessing here are private people, completely private people. And I think we should differ between the private investors and also business angels, and of course, let's say, the professionals, the real professionals. And this is a big difference. Is that an answer to your question?
I was just wondering about the timing that you were...
The timing?
Yeah. Are we not doing, or German people are not doing anything since 2011 at the end of it, or since 2008?
I cannot answer that to you, so I'm sorry. That's out of scope. That's out of scope. You need statistics for that and all that. Perhaps we can talk later about that. Okay? Any more questions? Okay, next one.